2:17 in the morning. You are standing in the middle of Unit B47 with a flashlight in one hand and your phone in the other, and the water is already past your ankles. It is not clean water. It came through the ceiling, through the 16-year-old membrane roof that you told yourself you would replace next quarter for 3 straight quarters in a row. And it picked up rust from the steel trusses, insulation dust from the fiberglass bats, and a decade of pigeon residue from the gutter channels on the way down. The beam from your flashlight catches it, brown, silty, spreading across the concrete slab in a slow fan toward the hallway that connects B wing to C wing. Behind you, 7 units are already soaked. A woman named Cheryl, who keeps her dead mother's dining room set in B44, is going to call you in about 5 hours. And you are going to have to tell her that the mahogany table her mother bought in 1987 is warped beyond saving. A contractor named Dale in B41 has $14,000 worth of Makita power tools that are sitting in 3 inches of rusty water right now. And the couple in B49, the Hendersons, they stored every piece of furniture from their house during a renovation that was supposed to take 4 months and is now entering month 9. Your insurance adjuster will eventually put the total damage at $173,000. Your deductible is $25,000. The repair estimate for the roof section that failed, not the whole roof, just the 4,200 square foot section over B wing, will come in at $89,000. And the lost revenue from the 14 units you cannot rent while restoration crews rip out drywall and run industrial dehumidifiers for 3 weeks will add another $6,800. You bought this facility 11 months ago for $1.18 million. Standing in B-47, watching the water creep toward the hallway, you are fairly certain you made the worst financial decision of your life. But here is the part you do not know yet. Standing in that flooded unit at 2 in the morning, you did not make the worst decision. You made one of the best. It is just going to take you another 14 months to understand why. And across the street, behind a chain-link fence wrapped in green privacy mesh, a company called Store Vault National has already broken ground on a 62,000 square foot, 3-story, climate-controlled facility that will open in 11 months. You have not noticed the construction permits yet. That is going to matter. Rewind. 14 months before the flood. You are 37 years old. You have been a logistics coordinator for a regional freight company called Palomar Carriers for 9 years. You are good at your job. You manage inbound scheduling for a 340,000 square foot distribution center in the suburbs of Charlotte, North Carolina. And you have never missed a load window in the last 22 months. That is not nothing. Your facility handles 180 to 220 dock appointments per day, and every missed window costs the company between $400 and $1,800 in detention fees. You make $74,000 a year, plus a quarterly bonus that has averaged $3,200 over the past 3 years. You have $61,000 in savings. You own a house that you bought in 2021 for $289,000. It is worth about $340,000 now, and you owe $241,000 on it. You have a wife named Sarah who teaches 4th grade. Combined household income $128,000. 2 kids, ages 5 and 8. A 2019 Honda CR-V and a 2022 Toyota Tacoma. You are doing fine. You are not rich. You are the definition of middle-class comfortable in a mid-tier southern city. But you have been thinking. You've been thinking for about 18 months. Actually, ever since your college roommate Kevin bought a car wash outside of Raleigh and started sending you pictures of his monthly P&L statements. Kevin is not smarter than you. Kevin barely passed accounting. But Kevin owns a business that generated $41,000 in net profit last month, while Kevin was in Cancun for a week. And you are sitting in a grey cubicle scheduling truck dock appointments for someone else's company. The thing about logistics work is that it teaches you how to evaluate capacity utilization. You think about it all day. How many dock doors? How many hours? How many trucks? What is the utilization rate? Where are the bottlenecks? And one night in April, sitting on your back porch with a beer and your laptop, you start applying that same framework to small businesses you could actually buy. Restaurants. Too labor-intensive. You have seen the failure rates. Laundromats. Decent, but the margins depend heavily on location, and you would need to be hands-on. Car washes. Kevin already has Charlotte locked down. Gas stations. Massive capital requirements and thin margins on fuel. And then you stumble onto self-storage. Have you ever looked at the numbers on a self-storage facility? Because they are almost absurd. The industry in the United States generates over $49 billion a year. There are more than 52,000 facilities spread across the country. 1 in 10 American households rents a storage unit. The average occupancy rate nationally hovers around 82%, and the operating expenses per square foot are some of the lowest of any commercial real estate category. But the number that stops you cold is the operating margin. A well-run self-storage facility, once it is stabilized and the debt service is manageable, can throw off operating margins between 35 and 55%. That is not revenue. That is what is left after you pay property taxes, insurance, utilities, maintenance, payroll, marketing, and management software. Some owner-operators push it past 60%. You do not sleep that night. You spend 4 hours on a spreadsheet. Then you spend the next 6 weeks building a better spreadsheet. You find the listing on LoopNet in early June. Eastbrook Storage Center, 42,600 square feet, 284 units. Owner retiring, Charlotte metro area. The asking price is $1.35 million. The facility is on a 2.4-acre parcel on Eastbrook Road, about 11 miles northeast of uptown Charlotte, in an area that is not quite suburban and not quite rural. It sits between a tractor supply and a veterinary clinic. The road gets decent traffic, around 8,000 cars per day, according to NCDOT counts. There is a Sheetz gas station at the corner, and a small strip mall with a Great Clips and a Pizza Hut across the road. The facility was built in 2010 by a guy named Roger Hamby. Roger is 68. He built Eastbrook Storage as his retirement project after selling his HVAC business, and he has run it himself for 16 years. He is the manager, the maintenance guy, the bookkeeper, and the Saturday gate attendant. His wife, Linda, answers the phone when he is out fixing a roll-up door. They live in a house on a 4-acre lot that backs up to the property. Roger is tired. His knees are bad. He had a stent put in last fall. Linda wants to move to Hilton Head to be closer to their grandchildren. He has had the facility listed for 4 months and has not gotten a serious offer because, as you will discover, the financials he is presenting are a mess. Not a fraud mess, a Roger mess. Roger does not use management software. Roger uses a spiral notebook, a filing cabinet, and a checking account at First Citizens Bank. His financial statements are a QuickBooks file that his nephew set up in 2014 and that Roger has been using incorrectly ever since. Half the revenue is recorded as MISC income. The expense categories include stuff for the place and that fence thing. But buried in Roger's chaos, you can see the bones. 284 units, mix of 5x5, 5x10, 10x10, 10x15, 10x20, and a handful of 10x30 units. All ground level, single story, drive-up access. No climate control. Every unit is standard metal with a roll-up door. Security consists of a 6-foot chain-link fence with privacy slats, a keypad gate, and 4 security cameras that Roger bought at Costco in 2017 and mounted himself. Current occupancy, 71%. That means 202 of the 284 units are rented. The other 82 are empty. And here is where your logistics brain kicks in. Because 71% occupancy at a self-storage facility is not a disaster. It is an opportunity. The national average is around 82%. Institutional operators like Public Storage and Extra Space target 90 to 93%. Roger is leaving 11 to 22 percentage points of occupancy on the table. That is 31 to 62 additional units that could be rented. At Roger's current average rate of $104 per unit per month, which you calculated by dividing his annual revenue by his occupied units by 12, since his books are useless, each additional rented unit represents $1,248 per year. 31 more units would add $38,688 annually. 62 would add $77,376. And Roger's rates are low. A 10x10 non-climate-controlled unit in the Charlotte Metro averages $119 per month in 2026. Roger is charging $95 for his 10x10s. He has not raised rates in 4 years. He told you this with a shrug. People don't like it when you raise prices. I'd rather keep them happy. Roger is a good man. Roger is a bad businessman. You make an offer of $1.18 million. Roger counters at $1.25 million. You come back at $1.2 million. Roger's wife calls Roger's phone while you are sitting in his tiny office behind the Costco cameras, and you hear Linda say, "Take the money, Roger." Roger takes $1.2 million. You negotiate him down to $1.18 million by agreeing to close in 45 days instead of 90. You finance it with an SBA 7A loan, 25-year term, variable rate starting at 9.3%. Your monthly debt service will be $8,640. You put down $177,000, your entire savings of $61,000, a $74,000 HELOC on your house, and $42,000 from Sarah's parents, who believe in you and also believe they are getting 6% interest on that money, which they are. You close on August 14th. Roger hands you a ring of 17 keys, a spiral notebook with tenant names and unit numbers, and a post-it note with the gate code. The gate code is 1234. It has been 1, 2, 3, 4 since the facility opened. You own a self-storage facility. Your first full day as the owner of Eastbrook Storage Center is a Monday, and by 11 a.m. you have already discovered 4 things that Roger did not mention. First, the pest control situation. Roger told you he had a guy who came quarterly. What Roger did not tell you is that a guy meant his friend Phil from church, and Phil's pest control method was scattering mothballs around the perimeter of the buildings. There are mice in at least 8 units. You find droppings in the hallways between B wing and C wing that suggest a colony, not stragglers. Second, the drainage. The property slopes gently from north to south, which is fine, except that the 2 drainage channels that are supposed to carry rainwater away from the buildings are clogged with 16 years of silt, leaves, and what appears to be a disintegrated tarp. When it rains, and in Charlotte it rains, the water pools against the south-facing walls of A wing and D wing. You can see the water staining on the metal panels. Some of the bottom row units have rust forming at the base of the roll-up doors. Third, the electrical. The facility has 48 exterior light fixtures. 19 of them are burned out. The parking area in front of the office has 2 pole lights, and one of them has a cracked lens and a nest of some kind inside it. At night, entire sections of the property are dark. This is not just an aesthetic issue. It is a security issue and a liability issue. Fourth, the leases. Roger's leases are photocopied half sheets that say, essentially, I agree to rent unit for dollars per month. No late fee clause, no lien language, no insurance requirements, no rules about prohibited items, no limitation of liability, just a name, a unit number, a dollar amount, and a signature. You take one of these to a real estate attorney named Patricia Odom, and Patricia looks at it for about 10 seconds before saying, this would not survive a challenge. But the worst discovery, the one that will shape your first 6 months, comes on Wednesday of that first week, when you sit down with Roger's QuickBooks file and your own spreadsheet and try to reconstruct the actual financial picture. Gross revenue. Roger collected $252,000 last year from unit rentals. He also sold about $4,200 in boxes and tape from a dusty display shelf in the office. Total, $256,200. Operating expenses, property taxes, $18,400. Insurance, $11,200. Utilities, $9,600. Maintenance, $14,800, mostly Roger fixing things himself and buying parts at Lowe's. Advertising, a Yellow Pages ad and a sign on Eastbrook Road. Roger's salary, $36,000, which he paid himself as an owner draw. And miscellaneous, $7,400. Total, $99,200. Net operating income before debt service, $157,000. Your debt service, $103,680 per year. Cash flow after debt service, $53,320, divided by 12 months, $4,443 per month. You left a $74,000 a year job with benefits for a business that, as currently run, will pay you $53,320 a year before your own health insurance, before any major repairs, before any capital improvements, and before the $42,000 you owe Sarah's parents at 6%. Sarah does not say anything when you show her the numbers. She just looks at you for a long time. Then she says, "You said you could get it to 85% occupancy in the first year." "I can," you say. "Then do it," she says, and she goes to bed. Have you ever bought something and immediately questioned whether you should have? Not buyer's remorse exactly, more like buyer's clarity. The difference between looking at a spreadsheet and standing in the actual thing. Spreadsheets do not have mice. There is one more thing you discover that first week. It is not a problem exactly, more of a realization. You walk the entire property on Friday afternoon, unit by unit, hallway by hallway, parking lot to fence line. It takes you 2 hours. And as you walk, you notice something. This place is ugly. Not damaged, not dangerous, just ugly. The gravel lot has weeds growing through it. The office is a converted storage unit with wood paneling and a drop ceiling that sags in one corner. The sign on Eastbrook Road is sun-bleached, and the S in storage has a crack running through it. The dumpster at the back of the property is overflowing, and there is a couch leaning against it that has been there so long it has become part of the landscape. None of this affects the operation of the facility. Tenants do not come to a storage facility for the ambiance. But it affects how people feel when they drive in. It affects the decision a potential tenant makes in the first 30 seconds of their visit. The snap judgment between "this place is fine" and "let me check the one down the road." You start a list. The list is 3 pages long by the time you are done. Sign replacement, $1,800. Gravel regrading and weed treatment, $2,200. Office furniture, desk, chairs, a decent coffee maker, $900. Dumpster service, upgrade and couch removal, $400. Paint for the office interior, $180. A welcome mat, $35. You spend $5,515 in the first month on things that do not generate a single dollar of direct revenue. But you also get your first unsolicited Google review that month. Clean facility, friendly owner, good prices. 3 sentences that are worth more than any ad you could buy. The first thing you change is the gate code, and it nearly cost you half your tenants. Here is what you did not realize about 1, 2, 3, 4. Every single tenant knows it. Their friends know it. Their friends' friends know it. People who do not rent at Eastbrook Storage know the gate code because someone told them. And those people use your facility as a shortcut between Eastbrook Road and the neighborhood behind your property. You have been watching the gate camera footage from the weekend, and you counted 22 vehicles entering your facility on Saturday that do not belong to any tenant. You change the gate code to a randomized 6-digit number and install individual access codes for each tenant. You buy a Noke Smart Entry System, $4,200 for the controller and the first year of software. That gives every tenant a unique code and logs every entry and exit with a timestamp. You send a letter to every tenant explaining the change and providing their new code. The blowback is immediate. Within 48 hours, you receive 11 phone calls from tenants who are angry about the change. 3 of them are angry because they gave the old code to family members who also access their units. 2 are angry because they always come through the back entrance that does not have a keypad, and now they have to drive around. One is angry because he has been using your property to park his boat trailer overnight, and now he cannot get in after hours without his code being logged. And 5 are angry because they simply do not like change. A man named Gary Phelps, who rents 3 10 by 20 units and pays $585 a month, calls you and says, "Roger never would have done this. Roger treated us like neighbors." You tell Gary that you appreciate his loyalty and that the new system is for the security of all tenants, including him. Gary says he is going to move his stuff to the public storage on Independence Boulevard. You let him. Gary's 3 units represent $7,020 a year, and losing him hurts. But you know something Gary does not. His units are 10 by 20s that Roger was charging him $195 each for. And the market rate for a 10 by 20 in this area is $245. When Gary leaves, you'll list those units at $239 each, slightly below market to fill them fast, and make $717 more per month than Gary was paying. Gary leaves. You fill 2 of his units within 3 weeks. The third takes 6 weeks. But the gate code change does something else, something you did not fully anticipate. It gives you data. For the first time, you know exactly who is entering your facility and when, and the data tells a story. 43 of your 198 remaining tenants, Gary took 3 units, 2 others left during the transition, have not accessed their units in more than 6 months. 18 of those have not accessed their units in more than a year. These are what the industry calls sticky tenants, people who are paying $89 to $195 a month to store things they have essentially forgotten about. They are your most profitable customers because they generate revenue with 0 wear and tear on the unit. But they are also your most vulnerable customers because one day they're going to realize they are paying $1,400 a year to store a futon and 4 boxes of college textbooks, and they are going to move out. What do you do with that information? Nothing for now, but you file it away. October 9th, a Tuesday. You arrive at the facility at 7:15 a.m. and find the lock cut on Unit C-12. The roll-up door is halfway open. Inside, the unit has been ransacked. Boxes torn open, shelving knocked over, items scattered across the floor. The tenant is a woman named Brenda Kowalski, and Brenda used C-12 to store holiday decorations, some old furniture, and, as she will tell you through tears at 8:30 a.m., her late husband's coin collection, which was in a fireproof safe that is no longer in the unit. The safe, Brenda says, contained coins worth approximately $35,000. The police come. They take a report. They review your camera footage, and here is what the cameras show. Nothing useful. The 4 Costco cameras Roger installed have a resolution of 720p, which was acceptable in 2017, but which, from a distance of 40 feet in low light, produces footage that looks like a Monet painting. You can see a figure. The figure is wearing dark clothing. The figure arrived at 3:47 a.m. The figure left at 4:12 a.m. You cannot see a face, a vehicle, a license plate, or anything else that would help identify them. The detective, a patient man named Torres, tells you something that you already know, but did not want to hear. Self-storage break-ins are hard to solve. The hit rate on these is maybe 15%. He asks about your perimeter security. You describe the chain-link fence. Detective Torres looks at the fence for a moment and says, "That fence would stop a toddler." Brenda files a claim with her renter's insurance. She does not have renter's insurance. Of course she does not. Roger never required it. Roger's photocopied half-sheet leases do not mention insurance at all. Brenda asks if your insurance will cover her loss. You call your insurance agent and he explains that your commercial property policy covers damage to your building and your property. Brenda's belongings are Brenda's property. Brenda cries. You feel terrible. You write Brenda a check for $2,000 from your personal account because you cannot sleep at night thinking about her dead husband's coins, and because, even though you are not legally liable, you feel morally responsible for the security of your facility. Sarah tells you that was the right thing to do, and also that you cannot write $2,000 checks to every tenant who gets robbed. The break-in costs you $2,000 in the check to Brenda, $350 for a new lock and hasp on C-12, and approximately $16,000 in security upgrades that you now have no choice but to make. You spend 2 weeks getting quotes and researching systems. You end up with a 16-camera Verkada system with cloud storage and 4K resolution, $8,400 installed. Motion-activated LED floodlights for every building corner and hallway, $2,200. A new perimeter fence section on the back side of the property where the chain link was sagging, $3,100. And a bright yellow sign at the entrance that says 24/7 video surveillance, trespassers will be prosecuted, $180. Total security spend, $13,880. You put it on a business line of credit at 9.2%. But the security upgrade does something unexpected. Within a month, 3 new tenants mention the cameras during their move-in. One of them, a woman who is storing furniture during a divorce, says explicitly, "I chose you because of the cameras. The place down the road doesn't have any." Security, it turns out, is not just a cost, it is a selling point. You make a note. November. You have been owner of Eastbrook Storage for 3 months, and you have finally finished a complete audit of every lease, every rate, and every unit in the facility. What you find makes you want to call Roger Hamby and ask him what he was thinking. Roger charged the same rates in 2026 that he charged in 2022. He never raised prices, not once. His reasoning, as he told you during the sale, was simple. People don't like it when you raise prices. I'd rather keep them happy. Here is what keeping them happy cost Roger, and now costs you. The average market rate for a 10 by 10 non-climate controlled unit in the Charlotte metro area is $119 per month. Roger was charging $95. That is a $24 gap on your most popular unit size. You have 68 10 by 10 units. 47 of them are occupied. That gap represents $13,536 per year in revenue you are not collecting, just on 10 by 10s. Across all unit sizes, you are an average of 18% below market. Applied to your current occupied base, that represents approximately $54,000 per year in foregone revenue. $54,000. That is more than your entire annual cash flow after debt service. Roger was essentially giving his tenants a $54,000 a year discount because he did not want to have an uncomfortable conversation. Now you have to have that conversation. Times 198. You spend 2 nights researching how other operators handle rate increases. The industry standard is to raise existing tenant rates 3 to 8% annually with a 30-day notice. Some operators use revenue management software that adjusts rates dynamically based on occupancy, demand, and competitor pricing, the same way airlines and hotels do it. The big REITs are aggressive about this. Extra space storage has been known to raise rates on existing tenants by 10 to 15% at a time, betting that the hassle of moving to a new facility will keep most tenants from leaving. You are not a REIT. You are a guy who lives 11 miles from his facility and whose wife teaches 4th grade. You cannot afford to lose 30% of your tenants in a rate increase exodus. But you also cannot afford to leave $54,000 a year on the table. You decide on a staggered approach. New tenants, anyone who signs up starting December 1st, will pay market rates, period. A 10 by 10 goes for $115, still $4 below market to be competitive. A 10 by 20 goes for $235. Existing tenants get a 30-day notice of a rate increase, but you tier it by how long they have been there. Tenants who have been renting for less than a year get bumped to the new rates immediately. Tenants who have been there 1 to 3 years get a 10% increase. Tenants who have been there more than 3 years, Roger's lifers, get a 6% increase now and another 6% in 6 months. You write the letters yourself. You agonize over every word. You include a paragraph about the security upgrades you have made, the pest control service you have hired, the improved lighting, the new gate system. You frame it as, "We are investing in this facility to serve you better, and these adjustments reflect that investment." You mail 198 letters on November 15th and brace for impact. The phone rings 11 times on November 18th, the day most tenants receive the letter. 14 emails arrive by the end of the day. 2 tenants show up at the office in person. Every single complaint follows the same pattern. Roger never raised prices. You explain. You empathize. You point to the security cameras, the new lights, the pest control. Some tenants listen, some do not. By December 15th, the effective date of the first wave of increases, 9 tenants have moved out. 9 units representing $10,260 in annual revenue at the old rates. At the new rates, those 9 units will generate $12,840 when you refill them, a net gain of $2,580 per year once they are occupied again. But here is the part no one tells you about rate increases at a self-storage facility. The vast majority of tenants do nothing. They do not call. They do not email. They do not move out. They open the letter, they look at the new amount, they perhaps mutter something uncomplimentary about you, and then they set up the new auto-pay amount and go on with their lives. Because moving storage units is a nightmare. You have to rent a truck. You have to find a new facility. You have to physically move everything. For most people, the difference between $95 a month and $101 a month, $6, is not worth 4 hours of hauling boxes on a Saturday. Of your 198 tenants, 189 stayed. 9 left. Your occupancy dropped from 70% to 66% temporarily. But your revenue went up. Even with 9 empty units, your monthly rental income increased by $3,100 in the first month of the new rates. Annualized, $37,200. And you are filling units. The new marketing, a Google business profile you actually manage, a Sparefoot listing, a website that Sarah's cousin Tyler built for $1,200, is bringing in 3 to 5 inquiries per week, at the new, higher rates. By the end of January, you have filled 6 of the 9 vacant units. Your occupancy is climbing back towards 70%, and your revenue per occupied unit has jumped 16%. That spreadsheet on your back porch is starting to look less theoretical. You need to know about Unit A-11. When you bought the facility, Roger mentioned that a few units were prepaid, meaning the tenants had paid months in advance. This is unusual, but not unheard of in self-storage. Military deployments, extended travel, people who just want to set it and forget it. A11 was paid through March of next year. 37 months of prepaid rent at $89 per month. That is $3,293 that Roger collected before you bought the place. The unit is a 5 by 10, one of the smallest in the facility. According to Roger's notebook, the tenant's name is M. Cain. No first name, no phone number, no email. The emergency contact line on Roger's half-sheet lease is blank. You looked at the unit during your first week walkthrough. It has a padlock on it, the tenant's own lock, not yours. Through the gap at the bottom of the roll-up door, you can see cardboard boxes stacked neatly. Nothing remarkable. But here is what bothers you. M. Cain has never accessed the unit. Not once since you installed the gate system in September. You checked the old camera footage from Roger's Costco system. The quality is terrible, but you can confirm that no one has opened A11 in at least the 4 months of footage you have. Roger's notebook shows no entry record for A-11, going back to when Roger started keeping track, which was sporadic at best. Someone is paying $89 a month, paid 3 years ahead, for a 5 by 10 unit that they have never visited. You think about this more than you should. Who pays $3,293 to store boxes they never look at? What is in those boxes? Is M. Cain alive? Is M. Cain in prison? Is M. Cain a real person? You cannot open the unit. The prepaid rent is current. M. Cain owes you nothing. You have no legal right to enter a tenant's unit without consent or a court order, except in specific emergency circumstances. The boxes could contain family photos. They could contain nothing. They could contain, and your mind goes here at 2 a.m. sometimes, something you do not want to find. You make a note to follow up when the prepaid period expires. For now, A-11 sits there, locked, paid for, silent. March through September is peak season in the self-storage industry. People move in the summer. People renovate in the spring. College students come home. Military families rotate. Divorces finalize. Houses sell. Houses do not sell. Life happens, and life requires storage. Your first peak season as owner of Eastbrook Storage begins in March, and it begins with a staffing problem. You've been running the facility yourself since August. You open the office at 8 a.m. You close it at 6 p.m. on weekdays and 4 p.m. on Saturdays. You are the manager, the maintenance person, the marketing department, and the customer service representative. Sarah answers the phone when you are out doing maintenance. Your 8-year-old Jackson has learned to say, "Eastbrook Storage, how may I help you?" in a voice that sounds suspiciously professional for a third grader. But March brings a volume of inquiries that you cannot handle alone. You are getting 7 to 10 calls per day, plus walk-ins, plus the 2 or 3 existing tenants who need something, a gate code reset, a question about their bill, a complaint about the tenant in D-22 who is running a power washer inside his unit at 7 a.m. on a Sunday. You hire your first employee. Her name is Diana Reyes. She is 26 and she has 3 years of experience working the front desk at a Hampton Inn. You hire her at $17 per hour for 30 hours a week. She is good. She is organized. She is friendly. She upsells boxes and tape with a naturalness that you could never pull off. And within 2 weeks, you wonder how you ever ran this place without her. Diana also spots something you missed. You are not selling tenant insurance. Every major self-storage chain offers tenant insurance, or more accurately, a tenant protection plan at move-in. It typically costs $12 to $18 per month and covers the tenant's belongings against theft, fire, water damage, and certain other perils. You do not offer it. You do not even mention it, and neither did Roger. Diana asks a simple question. Why don't we sell insurance? Every hotel I worked at sold travel insurance. Every storage place I've ever rented from offered it. You look into it. The math is immediate. A tenant protection plan through a company like Beta or StoreSmart costs you about $4 per unit per month in premium. You charge the tenant $15 per month. That is $11 per unit per month in pure margin. If you sell it to half your tenants, say 100 units, that is $1,100 per month, $13,200 per year. And there is a liability angle. Tenants with protection plans are far less likely to sue you after a break-in or a water event. Remember Brenda? Remember the $2,000 check? Tenant insurance would have handled Brenda's claim. You would never have been involved. You add tenant protection plans to your move-in process on April 1st. Diana offers it to every new tenant. By June, 67% of new move-ins are buying it. You roll it out to existing tenants via email. By September, 38% of your total tenant base has a protection plan. Revenue impact: $14,256 per year in protection plan income. Cost to you: $5,184. Net: $9,072. Diana earned her salary in her first idea. But Diana does something else that is harder to quantify. She talks to people. Not in the transactional way that you talk to people. Here is your unit number, here is your code, here is your monthly rate. Diana asks about their lives. She remembers that the woman in C14 is storing furniture because her house had termite damage. She remembers that the guy in A09 is a National Guard sergeant preparing for a 9-month deployment to Poland. She knows which tenants have dogs and keeps treats in her desk drawer. One afternoon, you overhear Diana on the phone with a woman who is looking for a 10 by 10 unit. The woman is clearly stressed. Her voice is tight. She is asking about prices 3 times. She is hesitating. Diana says, "Ma'am, it sounds like you have a lot going on. Why don't you come by tomorrow and I'll show you a couple options. We'll find something that works for your budget." The woman comes in the next day. She rents a 10 by 15, which is larger than she originally wanted, at $139 per month. She stays for 14 months. That is $1,946 in revenue from a phone call that could have ended in 30 seconds. Diana's hourly rate during that call was $17. The return on that $17 was more than 100 to 1. You learned something important from watching Diana. In a commodity business, and self-storage is absolutely a commodity business, square feet behind a metal door, the differentiator is the human being at the counter. The unit is the same everywhere. The price is similar. The location is comparable. But Diana is not comparable. Diana is the reason people choose you over the place down the road. Diana is the moat. Which brings us back to B47. June 23rd, 2 a.m. The storm that hits Charlotte that night drops 3.2 inches of rain in 90 minutes. That alone would not be a problem. Charlotte gets that kind of rain regularly. The problem is the roof membrane. Roger installed the original roof membrane in 2010. It is a single-ply TPO, thermoplastic polyolefin membrane, which is standard for commercial flat roofs and has a typical lifespan of 15 to 20 years. But Roger never had the roof inspected. He never had the seams checked. He never cleaned the drainage scuppers, which is why 2 of the 4 scuppers on B-wing are completely blocked with debris. The water cannot drain. It pools. The pooled water finds the weakest point in the 16-year-old membrane, a seam near the center of B-wing, where the TPO has separated from the insulation layer underneath. And it comes through. First as a drip, then as a steady stream, then as the weight of the pooled water increases and the seam tears wider, as a waterfall. You know the rest. 7 units flooded, 173,000 in damage, 14 units out of service for 3 weeks. Cheryl's dining room table, Dale's power tools, the Hendersons' furniture. Brenda's break-in was bad, but this is worse, because it is your fault. Not legally. Your insurance adjuster will confirm that you are covered, minus the deductible. But morally, you knew the roof was old. You knew the drainage was bad. You prioritized the security upgrades and the gate system and the marketing and the rate increases over the roof, because the roof was not actively failing, until it was. The repair estimate for the failed section of B-wing comes from a commercial roofing contractor named Palmetto Roof Systems. $89,000 for a full membrane replacement of the B-wing roof section, including new insulation, new scuppers, and a 20-year warranty. But here is the conversation you have with the Palmetto estimator, a guy named Rick, that changes your thinking. The B-wing section is 4,200 square feet, Rick says. I can fix just that section. But I need to tell you, your A-wing and D-wing membranes are the same age and the same condition. You're going to be standing in another unit in another year. What would it cost to do all 3 wings, you ask? Full facility, all 3 wings, 38,000 square feet total? About $342,000. You do not have $342,000. You have the insurance payout of $148,000. the $173,000 claim minus the $25,000 deductible. You have the business line of credit with about $22,000 of remaining availability. And you have the approximately $38,000 in cash the business has accumulated from the improved revenue since the rate increases. You can fix B-Wing now for $89,000 and pray about A-Wing and D-Wing. Or you can find a way to finance the full $342,000 and solve the problem permanently. You call 4 banks. 3 say no. Your facility does not have enough operating history under your ownership to support additional debt. The 4th, a community bank called Uwari, says yes. They will do a commercial line of credit secured by the property, $200,000, at 8.1% with a 5-year draw period. You take the Uwari line. Combined with insurance proceeds and cash on hand, you have enough to do the full roof replacement. It will take Palmetto 6 weeks, working wing by wing, and during that time, you will lose access to roughly 1/3 of your units at any given time. The roof replacement begins on July 15th. For 6 weeks, your facility looks like a construction site. You lose 11 tenants, who are either displaced by the construction or who simply decide the noise and disruption are not worth it. Diana spends 3 hours a day on the phone with tenants explaining the timeline, offering temporary unit swaps, and generally keeping people from leaving. You are hemorrhaging. Revenue is down. Expenses are up. You owe the bank, the roofing company, the insurance deductible, and Sarah's parents. You're eating peanut butter sandwiches for lunch and lying awake at night calculating how many months of runway you have before you run out of cash. This is the moment, if you are honest, where most people would start looking at exit options. Call a broker, list the facility, take whatever you can get and go back to scheduling dock appointments at Palomar carriers. But you do not do that. And the reason you do not do that is something your wife Sarah says to you one night in August, when you are sitting on the back porch with a beer and a calculator which has become your thing. The roof was going to fail whether you owned this place or not, Sarah says. At least now it's fixed. She is right. The roof was a when, not an if. Roger would have faced the same failure, the same damage, the same cost. Except Roger would not have had the insurance coverage you negotiated when you bought the place. Roger would not have had the Uwari line. Roger would have been 69 years old with bad knees and a stent, standing in B47 with a mop. You are 38 years old. You have a new roof with a 20-year warranty. You have a facility that structurally is now better than it has ever been. The question is whether you can survive long enough to benefit from it. September. The roof is done. The construction crews are gone. The displaced tenants have been resettled. You have 191 occupied units out of 284. Occupancy at 67%, the lowest since you took over, thanks to the roof disruption. But you have been thinking about something Rick from Palmetto said during the roof project. You know what kills me about this place? Rick said one afternoon, standing on the new membrane and looking out over the property. You've got 42,000 square feet of storage and not one climate-controlled unit. In Charlotte, in 2026, where it's 93 degrees and 80% humidity from June through September. Climate-controlled storage is the growth segment of the industry. A standard 10 by 10 unit rents for $119 per month in the Charlotte market. A climate-controlled 10 by 10 rents for $159. That is $40 per unit premium, and the operating cost difference, the additional electricity for HVAC, is about $8 to $12 per unit per month. The net premium on a climate-controlled unit is $28 to $32 per month, per unit, every month. You have D-Wing. D-Wing is your least occupied building. 38 units, only 22 occupied. The building is structurally sound with a brand new roof. Converting D-Wing to climate control would involve insulating the walls and ceiling, installing a commercial HVAC system, sealing the roll-up doors or replacing them with insulated swing doors, and adding a vapor barrier. You get 3 quotes. The average, $127,000 for the full D-Wing conversion. $127,000. You just finished paying for a roof. The Uwari line has $74,000 drawn on it. Your cash reserves are down to $18,000. The SBA loan payment is $8,640 per month. You are about to have a very difficult conversation with a banker. But here is the thing about climate-controlled storage that your logistics brain will not let go of. The ROI is exceptional. If you convert D-Wing's 38 units and achieve 85% occupancy at the climate-controlled premium, the incremental revenue from the conversion is approximately $14,600 per year, net of additional utility costs. On a $127,000 investment, that is an 11.5% cash-on-cash return, and that is just the direct revenue. Climate-controlled units attract a higher quality tenant. People storing wine, art, electronics, medical equipment, documents. These tenants are stickier, less price-sensitive, and more likely to buy tenant protection plans. You go back to Uwari. You show them the numbers. The loan officer, a woman named Denise, looks at your projections and says, "Your first year has been rough." "Yes," you say, "but your revenue per unit is up, your occupancy is recovering, and you just put a 20-year roof on this thing." "Yes." "We'll do another $130,000 on the line." The D-Wing conversion begins in October. Because you learned from the roof project, you do it during the slow season. Move-outs are lower in fall and winter, so the disruption affects fewer tenants. You relocate the 22 existing D-Wing tenants to open units in A-Wing and C-Wing. A logistical exercise that takes Diana 3 days of spreadsheet work and 30 phone calls. The conversion takes 8 weeks. New insulation, new HVAC, insulated swing doors with electronic locks, better lighting, a dehumidification system. When it is done in December, D-Wing looks like a different building. Clean, bright, temperature controlled at 55 to 80 degrees year-round, humidity held at 55% or below. You list the D-Wing climate-controlled units at $149 per month for a 10 by 10, $10 below the market average, because you are new to climate control and you need to build occupancy fast. By the end of January, you have 12 of the 38 units rented. By March, 21. By June, your first full summer with climate control, 31. Occupancy in D-Wing, 82%. And here is the detail that matters. The average tenant in D-Wing is paying $157 per month, because 8 of the early tenants upgraded to larger climate-controlled units at higher prices. Your non-climate tenants average $112 per month. D-Wing tenants are generating 40% more revenue per unit. Diana prints out the D-Wing revenue report and puts it on your desk with a post-it that says, "This one was worth it." Remember the green privacy mesh across the street? It is now February of your second year as owner. You drive past it every day. The chain link fence, the green mesh. Behind it, you can now see the steel skeleton of a building going up. 3 stories. You can see the forms for a parking structure. You can see a construction trailer with a logo on it. Store Vault National. You Google them that night. Store Vault National is a self-storage REIT based in Dallas. They operate 287 facilities across 14 states. Their facilities are new, clean, climate-controlled, multi-story, and marketed with the precision of a hotel chain. Their website is beautiful. Their app lets you rent a unit, unlock your unit, pay your bill, and buy moving supplies without ever speaking to a human. They have a marketing budget that is probably larger than your annual revenue. And they are building a 62,000 square foot, 3-story, climate-controlled facility on Eastbrook Road, directly across the street from you. You look at the Mecklenburg County building permits online. Store Vault pulled permits in July, a month before you even knew about the construction. The facility will have 480 units across 3 floors, an elevator, a loading dock, individually alarmed units, and an on-site retail area for moving supplies. The projected opening is January of next year. 480 units across the street, with amenities you cannot match. You sit in your office and stare at your own property. Your single-story, drive-up facility with 284 units, 1 climate-controlled building, a chain-link fence, and a Noke gate system. Your gravel driveway. Your converted shed office. How do you compete with a $12 million purpose-built facility backed by a publicly traded REIT? The answer comes from an unexpected source: your tenants. Diana starts keeping track of why people choose Eastbrook over the alternatives. She asks every new tenant during move-in, "How did you find us, and why did you pick us?" The answers, collected over 3 months, reveal a pattern. 34% chose Eastbrook because of drive-up access. They can pull their truck directly to their unit door and load or unload without an elevator, a hallway, or a loading dock. For a contractor, storing tools and materials. For a homeowner, storing furniture. For anyone moving heavy or bulky items, drive-up access is not just a preference, it is a requirement. 22% chose Eastbrook because of price. You are cheaper than the national chains. A 10 by 10 at Public Storage on Independence Boulevard costs $139. Extra space on University City Boulevard charges $145. You charge $115. That is a meaningful difference for price-sensitive renters. 18% chose Eastbrook because of location. They live or work nearby, and proximity matters when you are visiting your unit regularly. And 11% specifically mentioned that they prefer a smaller, locally owned facility. They do not want the corporate experience. They want to know the person who runs the place. They want Diana to remember their name. You are never going to beat Store Vault National on amenities or marketing. But you can beat them on price, on drive-up access, on the personal touch, and on the simple fact that not everyone wants to park in a garage, ride an elevator to the third floor, and walk down a hallway to get to their stuff. You need to lean into your strengths instead of chasing their model. March. You have your first lien sale, and it is exactly as uncomfortable as you imagined. 3 tenants have not paid rent in more than 90 days. Under North Carolina's Self-Service Storage Facility Act, you have the right to sell the contents of a delinquent tenant's unit after proper notice. The process is specific. You must send a written notice to the tenant's last known address by verified mail at least 15 days before the sale, describing the contents of the unit and stating the date, time, and place of the sale. You must also advertise the sale in a newspaper of general circulation in the area. You have followed the process exactly. Patricia Odom, your attorney, reviewed every letter and every notice. You are legally covered. But legally covered and emotionally comfortable are 2 different things. The 3 units belong to Unit B-19, a man named Carlos who rented the unit 8 months ago, paid for 3 months, and then disappeared. His phone is disconnected. His mailing address bounces. The unit contains a mattress, a dresser, and approximately 40 boxes of unknown contents. Unit C-28, a woman named Tamara, whose account went delinquent in November. You sent notices in December and January. In February, Tamara called and said she had lost her job and was trying to get the money together. You gave her a 2-week extension. She did not pay. She did not call again. The unit contains children's clothing, toys, a crib, and several boxes labeled photos. Unit D-05. A man named Ricky who appears to have used the unit to store inventory for a failed eBay business. The unit contains approximately 300 unopened boxes of phone cases, charger cables, and screen protectors, all branded with names you do not recognize. The sale is held on a Saturday morning at 10 a.m. 7 people show up. You hired a local auctioneer named Dale McSwain, no relation to your tenant, Dale, who handles storage auctions around the Charlotte area. Dale is cheerful and efficient in the way that people who sell other people's belongings professionally tend to be. Unit B-19 sells for $340. Unit D-05 sells for $180. The eBay inventory, it turns out, is nearly worthless. Unit C-28. Tamara's unit with the children's clothes and the photos. Dale opens the door. The bidders look inside. A woman in the back raises her hand. "Hold on," you say. You pull Dale aside. "I'm going to keep this one," you say. "I'll cover the back rent out of the operating account." Dale looks at you. "You sure? That's about $800 in back rent." "I'm sure." You close Unit C-28's door. You pay $800 in back rent from the business account. You call Tamara's number. It is still disconnected. You send a letter to her last known address. Your unit is current through the end of this month. Please contact us to make arrangements. Tamara calls you in April. She has a new job. She is crying on the phone. She comes in the next day and pays 2 months of rent in advance and hugs Diana so hard that Diana's coffee spills on the counter. You lose $800 on that transaction. You gain something that does not show up on a spreadsheet. Was that a smart business decision? Probably not. But you are a person, not a REIT. And sometimes the right thing and the profitable thing are not the same thing. You make your peace with that. Every serious business owner does, eventually. April. You have been doing your own marketing for 8 months, and it has been, charitably, okay. The website Tyler built is functional, but looks like it was made by someone's cousin. Because it was. Your Google business profile has 12 reviews, 3 of which are from Gary Phelps, 1 star each, all complaining about the gate code change. Your Sparefoot listing generates about 4 leads per month. You do not have a social media presence. You do not have $5,000 a month for a marketing agency, but you do have $1,200 a month, and you are going to spend it strategically. First, Google Ads. You set up a campaign targeting self-storage near me, storage units, Charlotte, and 12 other high-intent keywords. You set a budget of $600 per month. The average cost per click in the self-storage space is around $6 to $9. Expensive, but the lifetime value of a tenant who stays for 12 months at $115 per month is $1,380. Your customer acquisition cost target, under $100. Within the first month, Google Ads generates 14 qualified leads. 7 of them convert to tenants. Your cost per acquisition, $86. You are in the green. Second, you fix the Google Business Profile. You respond to every review, including Gary's 1 stars, with polite, professional responses that mention the security upgrades. You add photos, the new Verkada cameras, the climate-controlled D-Wing, the clean driveways, Diana smiling at the front desk. You set up a system where Diana asks every happy tenant to leave a review. Within 3 months, you have 41 reviews and a 4.4-star average. Third, Sparefoot and selfstorage.com listings. You optimize your listings with current photos, accurate pricing, and promotional offers. First month, 50% off. Free lock with move-in. These are standard industry tactics, but they work. Your Sparefoot conversions jump from 4 per month to 9. Total marketing spend, $1,200 per month. Total new tenants from marketing in the first quarter, 38. Average lifetime value of a tenant, $1,380. Revenue generated, $52,440. Return on marketing investment, 1,093%. These are not vanity metrics. These are tenants with leases, paying rent, storing stuff. Every one of them represents recurring revenue that compounds month after month. By June, your occupancy has climbed to 79%. You are filling the hole left by the roof disruption, the rate increase departures, and the general churn. You are within striking distance of 82%, the national average, for the first time since you bought the place. July. The prepaid period on Unit A-11 expires. You send a notice to M. Cain at the address on file, a P.O. box in Durham, 45 minutes away. The notice states that the prepaid rent has been exhausted and that monthly payments of $99 per month, you have raised the 5 times 10 rate from $89, will begin on August 1st. If no payment is received and no contact is made, a lien process will begin after 60 days. 2 weeks later, a woman walks into your office. She's about 70. She is wearing slacks and a cardigan, and she looks like she's been crying. "I'm Margaret Cain," she says. "I have a unit here, a -11. Diana looks at you. You come out of the back office. "Ms. Cain, I sent you a notice about your rent." "I know," she says. "I need to get into my unit. Can you take me there? You walk with Margaret across the facility to A wing. She has a key for the padlock. She opens the door. Inside, 12 cardboard boxes neatly stacked. Brown packing tape, black marker labels. Books, photos, kitchen misc. James personal. Margaret stands in the doorway and does not move. James was my husband, she says. He passed away 4 years ago. I put his things in here because I could not look at them. I could not throw them away, and I could not keep them in the house. I paid ahead because I did not want to think about it. She stands there for a long time. You and Diana stand behind her. Nobody says anything. I think I'm ready now, Margaret says. Can you help me load these into my car? You and Diana spend 45 minutes loading 12 boxes into the back of a Honda Accord. Margaret gives you a check for $99 for the current month and says she will send the 30-day move-out notice by mail. The mystery of Unit A-11. No crime, no contraband, just grief. Just a woman who needed 4 years to be ready to touch her dead husband's coffee mugs and sweaters. Self-storage is a business of boxes. But the boxes have lives in them. Every roll-up door in your facility is a chapter in someone's story. A move, a divorce, a death, a deployment, a renovation, a fresh start, a delay, a denial. You are the custodian of 280 chapters. Most of them you will never read. January of your second full year as owner. Store Vault National opens across the street. The building is impressive. 3 stories of white metal cladding with teal accents. A glass-fronted lobby. A drive-through loading area. Digital signage. A clean, well-lit parking lot with fresh asphalt and crisp striping. Their grand opening features balloons, a tent, and a woman in a Store Vault polo handing out branded water bottles. Their rates are posted on a digital sign out front. 10 by 10 non-climate, $129. 10 by 10 climate-controlled, $169. 10 by 15 climate, $199. 10 by 20 climate, $259. They are more expensive than you on every unit size. $15 to $30 more per month depending on the unit. And they are getting tenants. You watch the parking lot from your office window. 3 or 4 move-ins per day in the first week. Trucks backing up to the loading dock. People carrying boxes through the glass lobby. Your phone, meanwhile, is quieter than it has been in months. New inquiries drop 30% in January. February is worse. You lose 4 existing tenants who moved to Store Vault. 2 of them specifically mention the elevator and the hallway access as reasons. You are scared. You're not admitted to Sarah, but you are scared. Store Vault has 480 units across the street. That is 480 units of supply in a market that was already adequately served. If they fill those units, some of them will come from your facility. Basic economics, supply and demand. But then something happens. March, April, May. The Store Vault parking lot fills up during the day, but the construction crews you see in the evening, landscaping, signage, final touches, tell you they are not as full as they want to be. You check their Google listing. They have 3 reviews, all 5 stars, all suspiciously generic. You check their spare foot listing. They're running a first month free promotion, then a 2 months free promotion, then a 50% off for 3 months promotion. They are discounting aggressively, which means they are struggling to fill 480 units. Here is what the market is telling you, and what you did not fully understand until now. Self-storage demand in your submarket is strong enough to support both facilities, but not at StoreVault's prices. The people who want climate control, elevator access, and a glass lobby will pay StoreVault's rates. Those people exist, and StoreVault will get them. But there are also people who want a clean, safe, well-lit drive-up facility where they can pull a truck to the door and pay $115 a month instead of $129. Those people also exist, and those people will come to you. By June, your occupancy is at 83%. StoreVault's occupancy, based on their public REIT disclosures, is at 44%, well below their pro forma target of 75% by month 6. They will get there eventually. REITs are patient. They have deep pockets and long time horizons. But they are burning cash right now, and you are not. You survive StoreVault, not by beating them, by being different. Drive-up access, lower prices, Diana at the front desk who knows your name. A locally owned operation that does not require you to download an app to open your unit. There is a moment in May that crystallizes this. A man pulls into your lot in a pickup truck loaded with woodworking equipment, a table saw, a planer, a drill press, bins of clamps and chisels. He is a retired cabinet maker named Frank, and he needs a 10 by 20 to store his shop equipment while his garage is being rebuilt after a fire. "I went over there first," Frank says, jerking his thumb towards StoreVault. "They wanted me to unload everything in a loading dock, put it on a cart, take an elevator to the second floor, and wheel it down a hallway. I've got a 400-pound table saw. I'm 63 years old. I need to back my truck up to a door and slide things in." Frank rents a 10 by 20 for $235 a month. He backs his truck to the roll-up door. He and his nephew unload everything in 40 minutes. He will stay for 11 months while the garage is rebuilt, generating $2,585 in revenue. All because you have ground-level drive-up access and StoreVault does not. There is room in the market for both of you. You just had to survive long enough to prove it. Let us talk about numbers. Real numbers, 20 months into your ownership. Occupied units, 236 out of 284. Occupancy, 83.1%. That is up from 71% when you bought the place. Average revenue per unit, $126 per month, blended across standard and climate controlled. That is up from $104. Monthly gross revenue, $29,736. Annual run rate, $356,832. Operating expenses, annual. Property taxes, $19,200, up from $18,400 due to reassessment. Insurance, $14,800, up from $11,200. You upgraded your coverage after the flood. Utilities, $16,400, up from $9,600. Climate control in D-Wing uses electricity. Diana's salary, $26,520, 30 hours per week at $17 per hour. Maintenance and supplies, $11,200. Marketing, $14,400. Management software, Storable, $3,600. Pest control, $2,400. Miscellaneous, $4,800. Total operating expenses, $113,320. Net operating income, $243,512. Debt service, annual. SBA loan, $103,680. UWARI line, interest on $204,000 drawn, $16,524. Total debt service, $120,204. Cash flow after debt service, $123,308. Plus tenant protection plan income, net of premiums, $9,072. Total owner's cash flow, $132,380. Divided by 12, $11,032 per month. You are making $132,380 a year from a business you bought 20 months ago for $1.18 million, after investing approximately $510,000 in improvements, roof, security, climate control, gate system, marketing. Your total capital in the deal is approximately $1.69 million. Purchase price plus improvements plus carrying costs, of which about $387,000 is your equity, down payment, HELOC, Sarah's parents' money, and retained earnings. On $387,000 of equity, you are earning $132,380 per year. That is a 34.2% cash-on-cash return. And the facility is appreciating. Self-storage properties are valued primarily on a capitalization rate, the ratio of net operating income to property value. In the Charlotte market, stabilized self-storage facilities trade at cap rates between 5.5 and 7.5%. At your NOI of $243,512 and a market cap rate of 6.5%, your facility is worth approximately $3.75 million. You bought it for $1.18 million. You have put $510,000 into it. Your total basis is $1.69 million. It is worth $3.75 million. You have created $2.06 million in equity in 20 months. On paper. These are paper numbers, until someone writes you a check. But they are real enough that UWARI Bank is suddenly very friendly. August. A man named Charles Whitfield calls you. Charles is a broker with Marcus & Millichap, a commercial real estate firm that specializes in investment properties. Charles has a client, an investment group based in Atlanta, that is looking to acquire self-storage properties in secondary markets across the Southeast. My client has seen your facility, Charles says. They like the location, the occupancy trend, and the fact that you've already done the CapEx work. They'd like to make an offer. The offer arrives by email 2 days later. $3.4 million. All cash, 60-day close. You print the email. You put it on the kitchen table. Sarah reads it. You bought this place for $1.18 million 20 months ago. After all costs, your net basis is about $1.69 million. An offer of $3.4 million would net you, after paying off the SBA loan and the UWARI line and Sarah's parents and closing costs, approximately $1.06 million in cash, free and clear, into your bank account. $1 million for 20 months of work, stress, flooded units, break-ins, rate increase letters, lien sales, and peanut butter sandwiches. What do you want to do? Sarah asks. You think about it, and here is what you think about. You think about the fact that your facility is generating $132,000 a year in cash flow, and that number is still growing. Occupancy is climbing. Rates are climbing. You have not yet implemented dynamic pricing. The software exists, and it could add another 8 to 12% to your revenue. You have not yet added RV and boat storage on the undeveloped half-acre at the back of the property. You have not yet explored a second location. You think about the fact that if you sell for $3.4 million and put the $1.06 million in the stock market at a historical average return of 10%, you will make about $106,000 a year. But you will not have a business. You will not have Diana. You will not have tenants who know your name. You will have a brokerage account and a very nice retirement plan. And you think about what you would do next. Go back to Palomar Carriers. Schedule dock appointments. You cannot. You are a different person now. You have built something. You have survived a flood, a break-in, a competitor, and 9 months of sleepless nights. You are not the same person who sat on his back porch with a spreadsheet. I want to keep it, you say. Sarah nods. Good. Me too. You call Charles Whitfield and decline the offer. Charles says his client might go higher. You say it is not about the price. Charles says, everyone says that. You say goodbye. Let me tell you what happens in the next 12 months. Because the compound effect in self-storage is real, and it is powerful. You implement dynamic pricing through Storable's revenue management module. The software analyzes your occupancy by unit size, your competitors' rates, your seasonal demand patterns, and your move-in and move-out trends, and it adjusts your street rates daily. You do not raise prices on existing tenants more than twice per year, and never more than 8% at a time. But new tenants are paying optimized rates that are 6 to 14% higher than your old flat-rate pricing. Impact: $28,400 in additional annual revenue. You build 8 outdoor RV and boat storage spots on the back half-acre. Gravel pad, 35-foot spaces, chain-link perimeter with a separate gate. Total cost, $34,000. Monthly rate, $175 per spot. You fill all 8 within 4 months. Impact, $16,800 in annual revenue. You partner with a moving company, a local outfit called Cardinal Moving, to offer a move-in package. New tenants who rent a unit and book a move through Cardinal get their first month free. Cardinal pays you a $75 referral fee for every booked move. Cardinal gets a customer. The tenant gets a discount. You get a tenant who was going to rent somewhere and might have chosen StoreVault. Impact: $4,500 in referral fees, and 32 new tenants who chose you because of the moving partnership. You install vending machines in the office and near the D-wing entrance. Moving supplies, boxes, tape, bubble wrap, locks. Monthly net from vending, $340. You hire a part-time maintenance person named Luis, 20 hours a week at $16 per hour. Lewis keeps the facility clean, fixes minor issues, and frees you up to work on strategy instead of unclogging drains. Your Year 2 numbers. Occupied units 258 out of 284, plus 8 RV/boat spots all occupied. Occupancy 90.8%. Monthly gross revenue $38,940. Annual $467,280. Operating expenses $142,600, up due to Lewis, higher utilities, increased marketing. Net operating income $324,680. Debt service $120,204, unchanged. Cash flow after debt service $204,476, plus ancillary income, protection plans, referral fees, vending $18,900. Total owner's cash flow $223,376. $223,376 in Year 2, from a facility you bought for $1.18 million. At a 6.5% cap rate, your facility is now worth approximately $4.99 million. You're sitting on your back porch. It is a Saturday evening. The kids are in bed. Sarah is reading. You have a beer and your laptop, but you're not looking at the spreadsheet anymore. The spreadsheet does what the spreadsheet does. It is a machine now. Diana runs the day-to-day. Lewis keeps the place clean. Storable manages the rates. The Google ads bring in leads. The tenants pay their rent. The boxes sit in the dark. You think about what you know now that you did not know 2 years ago. You know that self-storage is not about storage. It is about transitions. People store things when their lives are changing. Moving, divorcing, downsizing, upsizing, deploying, grieving, renovating, starting over. You are in the transition business. Your product is space, but what you sell is time. Time to figure things out. Time to decide. Time to let go. You know that the boring businesses are often the best businesses. Self-storage does not have the glamour of a tech startup or the romance of a restaurant. Nobody writes breathless articles about the self-storage industry. Nobody makes TV shows about it. Well, there was Storage Wars, but that was about the auctions, not the operations. Self-storage is concrete slabs and metal buildings and roll-up doors, and a lady named Diana who remembers your name. It is profoundly unglamorous. And it prints money. You know that deferred maintenance is deferred disaster. Roger's roof taught you that. Every dollar Roger saved by not inspecting the membrane, not cleaning the scuppers, not budgeting for replacement, was a dollar that compounded into the $342,000 you spent on a full roof replacement, plus $173,000 in water damage, plus $6,800 in lost revenue, plus the emotional cost of standing in B47 at 2 a.m. in ankle-deep water. Deferred maintenance is a loan you take from the future at a very high interest rate. You know that competition is not necessarily a threat. StoreVault National opened across the street with 480 brand-new climate-controlled units, and your business grew. The market was underserved. StoreVault validated the location. Their marketing brought attention to the area. Some tenants who walked into Storvold's glass lobby, saw the prices and walked out, came directly across the street to you. Competition raised the tide. Your boat was in the water. You know that people are the business. Diana changed your trajectory, not with a strategic insight or a market analysis, with a question. Why don't we sell insurance? That question is worth $9,072 a year, every year, forever. The next Diana question, the one she has not asked yet, might be worth more. The people around you are force multipliers. Hire well. Listen. You know that the numbers matter, but they are not the whole story. You keep Tamara's unit. You load Margaret's boxes. You write Brenda a check. None of those decisions were optimal from a pure profit perspective. All of them were right. You can build a profitable business and still be a decent person. Those things are not in conflict, despite what certain business books suggest. And you know this. You are not going back. You are not going back to the cubicle. You are not going back to scheduling doc appointments. You are not going back to making $74,000 a year and watching Kevin's P&L statements from Cancun. You have a business that generates $223,000 a year in cash flow, that sits on property worth close to $5 million, that employs 3 people, that serves 266 families and businesses, and that is still growing. You are the owner of a self-storage facility, and that is your entire business. And it is enough. The gate code, by the way, is no longer 1234. Diana changes it every 90 days. The current one has 7 digits. She chose it. One final look at where you stand, because the numbers are the proof, and the numbers are real. Total investment to date, purchase price, $1,180,000. Roof replacement, $342,000. Security upgrades, $13,880. Climate control conversion, $127,000. Gate system, $4,200. Marketing cumulative, $28,800. RV/boat storage, $34,000. Website, $1,200. Miscellaneous improvements, $18,600. Total capital deployed, $1,749,680. Current facility metrics. Units, 284 indoor plus 8 outdoor equals 292 total. Occupancy, 90.8%, 266 occupied. Average rate per unit, $146 per month, blended. Monthly revenue, $38,940. Annual revenue, $467,280. NOI, $324,680. Cash flow after debt service, $223,376. Estimated property value at 6.5% cap rate, $4,995,000. Equity created, $4,995,000 minus $1,003,000 remaining debt equals $3,992,000 in equity. Return on equity, 5.6%. cash on total equity, including appreciation. Cash on invested equity. Dollars, 387,000. 57.7%. Monthly cash flow to you. Dollars, 18,615. You started with dollars 61,000 in savings and a logistics job. You now own a business that pays you more per month than your old job paid per quarter, sitting on an asset that has tripled in value in less than 2.5 years. The self-storage industry in the United States is a $49 billion market. There are 52,000 facilities. 10% of American households rent a unit. The demand is driven by forces that do not go away. People move. People accumulate things. People go through life changes that require temporary space. As long as Americans own things they cannot fit in their homes, self-storage will exist. You did not build a tech unicorn. You did not disrupt an industry. You bought a concrete building with metal doors from a tired man named Roger, and you ran it better than Roger ran it. That is the whole story. Sometimes the best business story is the simplest one. Last week, Roger Hamby called you. He and Linda are settled in Hilton Head. The grandchildren are growing up. His knees are worse. He asked how the facility was doing. You told him about the roof. He winced. You told him about the climate control. He said he'd always meant to do that. You told him about Store Vault. He laughed and said, "Good luck to them." You told him about Diana. He said Linda would have liked her. Then, Roger said something that surprised you. "You know, I built that place in 2010 because I needed something to do. I never thought of it as a real business. It was just something to do. Something to keep me busy after I sold the HVAC company. I'm glad you're treating it like a real business. It deserves that." He paused. "And the gate code. Did you change the gate code?" "First thing I did, Roger." "Good. I should have done that years ago. 1, 2, 3, 4. Linda told me 100 times. What was I thinking?" You both laughed. And you meant it. A real laugh. The kind you can only share with someone who understands exactly what it means to own that particular piece of property on Eastbrook Road. You told Roger you would send him a Christmas card. He told you to send him a picture of the new roof instead. You promised you would. You are the owner of a self-storage facility, and that is your entire business.